Hello, everybody out there on Facebook. Kurt Vonder Haar with Cheetah Mobile Device Repairs, your 5-star rated cell phone and tablet repair store, conveniently located in Highland on Route 143. You can find us next to Clarkson Eye Care, Little Caesars, the mailbox store. You know where to find us. You can call us during normal business hours at 618-651-8878 or reach us 24 hours a day right here on Facebook. Hey, welcome to episode 1 of what I'm going to call Cheetah Chat. I'm going to bring you some interesting things, news, events, people, just things in and around the community of Highland that I think you might find interesting. So this is going to be episode 1. So we're going to roll down the street here and see if we can find anybody that maybe we can talk to for this first episode. So we're going to roll down the street here. We're just downtown Highland, and we'll kind of see maybe who we can find out here. Oh, look, there's somebody hitchhiking out here. Let's see if we can give this guy a ride. Hey, you need a ride? Come on in. We're giving out free rides today.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, look who it is, everybody. It is Police Chief Chris Conrad from the Highland Police Department, also Public Safety Director Chris Conrad. Yep. So say hi to everybody on Facebook.
Hello, Highland.
So he's kind enough to join us this morning for a little tool around Highland. We're gonna talk about a few things. You know, a lot of people know quite a bit about Chief Conrad. You know, he's very visible around town, but maybe if they don't, tell us a little bit maybe about your background, where you came from, where you were born and raised. I know you've been with Highland since 2000, right?
Yep, started in January of 2000. Originally from Carlisle, grew up there. That's where I met my wife. We went to high school together. But yeah, came here in 2000 from after working at Clinton County Sheriff's Department in corrections there. So corrections was I guess a great lead into this career because it teaches you how to be nice to people.
Yeah, so. Sure. No, and I think Highland PD has a great reputation for being very friendly to people, great response times. I'll mention that a little later. But maybe what was your inspiration to get into police work?
So when I grew up, my dad was actually the assistant state's attorney over in Clinton County, and so I grew up around a lot of police officers in Clinton County. Got to know all of them, looked up to them. Got to play basketball with them on Sunday nights, and so just kind of growing up in that environment and looking up to those guys as role models this was definitely something I always knew I wanted to do.
Okay, so. Was there any police officers in your family, anything like that?
No, actually no police officers. Had a lot of military in my family. I was in the reserves for many years prior to going to law school.
What branch?
Army Reserves. And but no police officers. I was the only one, I guess, that decided to do right.
So you mentioned law school. What's your education?
So I got my bachelor's degree from SLU, and then I also went to law school at SLU.
Wow.
So graduated there in 2014.
So our police chief is also a trained lawyer.
Yep. I'm a licensed attorney in Illinois. So
that's amazing. I did not know that. I bet a lot of people in Highland didn't know that. So we're driving around the city. We're right here next to City Hall, the fire department. It's a beautiful place. I've lived here for about 5 years. I've put down roots here. I've got a business here in town that I want to have here for a long time. What do you love about Highland?
I would definitely say the respect the community has, and so they people. It's a town where people still take care of their yards. They care about their property. They care about their neighbors. One thing that's always impressive to me is whenever we have an incident that we need the public's help, we get it, and the citizens really come through. And whether that's an issue, a criminal issue, or even if we have a member of our community that's going through something difficult, they're there to support them. And so that's a great example of that is she's not even from our community. The young girl from Germantown that's been having some difficulties since last December. I noticed Schwinn's Ready Mix truck yesterday had Rally for Ray painted on their truck.
Yeah,
so,
I saw, we saw Chief Conrad out at the Rally for Ray boxing event last month. That was amazing. It was amazing to see how many people were out at that. I know one of your officers was boxing in that event, right?
Yep. Nathan Biggs. Biggs was fighting in that event. Great event. Raised a lot of money for a great cause.
Tons of money. That was great. So yeah, tight-knit community here in Highland. I agree. Anytime anybody ever needs to know some information, and if you see something, say something, right? I think that's kind of the key now.
We've got our citizens are very proactive. They when we have something happen, a lot of times we'll have citizens reaching out to us. Sometimes even before we have time to do a neighborhood canvass, we have people approaching us saying, "Hey, I saw this," or
yep.
"I don't know if it's important, but hey." And so that's phenomenal. You can't, policing requires the public's help.
Yep.
It's not something cops can do on their own.
Yeah.
So,
well, that kind of good lead in. What are some of maybe the challenges that you're facing here in the city, or as public safety director?
Well, as our economy changes, I think criminals are becoming more transient, and so we see more crime committed by people who aren't necessarily from Highland, and so obviously that makes it a little more difficult for us to identify people, and so that. That's part of the reason that we've looked at different camera and video systems and stuff like that to help us identify people that are coming and going from town, to help us solve some of these crimes that are committed by some of the transient.
Yep, and that's a perfect lead into the next thing I was going to ask about. On Facebook, I saw this announcement for the camera registration program.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting. Tell us more about that and what's the reason behind that.
Sure. So we've had a couple of incidents where we've gone around to several of the businesses and looked for video, looking for a specific individual, and a couple of the businessmen have said, "Hey, if you want to, you ought to start a database where you can keep track of where." Who all has cameras and how to get a hold of them, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of has grown from just doing businesses to creating a database of citizens. If citizens want to, one of our officers went to a training and another community had started doing this, and they had talked about, it's basically a great place to start your canvasses if you have something happen in a particular neighborhood, is if people have already registered their Ring doorbell cameras or their Arlos, you can kind of start with those folks to see if you've got anything on video before you even do your door-to-door neighborhood canvasses.
I've got a Ring video door camera on the Cheetah store. I've got one on my house. And I think even the PD was at my business last year and asked to see some of the video. So we showed that to them. So, the technology is pretty inexpensive now.
Yeah, it's getting a lot cheaper. A lot more people are having them. And so it's a great opportunity for us to have the public kind of engage in essentially a next generation neighborhood watch program. They don't have to attend meetings. They don't have to stay up late at night to see who's walking around their neighborhood. We can use technology to kind of do that for us, what people used to have to do in person.
Yeah, and as far as that program, I know there was a Facebook announcement, so people can look for that. I'm guessing there's probably a website where people can go to register it.
Yep, on the on our link on Facebook, there's a link to our website where you can fill out the information, and really it's just your address and your name and address, so that way we can we know where the cameras are. We're not going to be actively monitoring anybody's cameras or anything else. This is just basically keeping a database so that we know where to go looking if we need to.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's important. Again, you talked about community policing. That's a great way that people can go on there. We'll put a link to that website down in the comment section so that if people want to go there and get their cameras registered, which sounds pretty easy, no cost to it. Obviously, they're not monitoring your cameras, so you don't have to worry about somebody intrusive coming in and looking at your camera. They just want to know what cameras are out there, so if a crime happens somewhere, they can immediately go over and say, hey, these people have cameras, let's go check those out, right?
Yep. It like for instance, take burglary for motor vehicles. A lot of times these are done by people that are walking around, so they're going to be walking either through alleys or down the street.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can go back and track them through people's video, you know, it kind of helps us track back to maybe where they were, or we get to a point where we have a camera that maybe got a picture of their face, and that makes it a lot easier to identify people and solve crime.
Yeah, no, definitely. Hey, you know, I really appreciate you joining us again, Chief Chris Conrad. He's chief of the Highland Police Department, also public safety director. So he's in charge of police, fire, EMS, all three of those things in the city of Highland. Hey, I've got just a real quick question for a friend. What's the top speed on the Ford Explorer Interceptors?
I think 140 is what it is.
Okay, Dodge Charger 175. Well, let me write this down. I'm just asking for a friend, so I'm writing that down. Top speed 140. Dodge
Hopefully
Charger,
nobody's tested it.
175. Okay, I think we're good. All right, I'll let my friend know. Hey, we certainly appreciate you joining us. We're going to actually give you the Dodge Charger, not the Dodge Charger. We've got a replica of the purple Dodge Charger we're going to give you. You can put on your desk as a little memento.
All right.
So we appreciate you joining us, Chief Conrad.
Thanks for having us.
The Highland Police Department.
And helping us advertise the program.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to drop him off and let him get back to work. The guy's a busy guy. He's got more important things to do. So this has been episode 1 of Cheetah Chat. This is something, again, we're going to try and do maybe once a week. We'll see how many of these we can pull off as we find interesting news, things, people to talk to out there. So I'm Kurt Vonder from Cheetah Mobile Device Repairs. We are your 5-star rated cell phone and tablet repair store, conveniently located on Route 143 in Highland, next to Little Caesars, the mailbox store. You know where to find us. You can reach us during normal business hours at 618-651-8878, or reach us 24 hours a day right here on Facebook. Everybody stay safe out there.